Hi, this is George Alger. Welcome to today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be speaking about sustainable technologies. And joining us is Lance Miller, who is the CEO of TerraX, which is a sustainable technologies company located here in Southern California. Welcome, Lance, and let's just establish a base framework here. What is sustainable technology?
Oh, sustainable technologies are technologies that actually allow everything to sustain themselves, would be the simplest way to put it. A lot of times we use fertilizers, or we're producing something that has a very bad, let's say, after effect or bad effect on the environment. It does what it's supposed to, but it doesn't enhance the other components of life and the environment. And so we're looking at things that have that allow everything to live, would be the simplest way to put that.
All right, so can you give us a few examples?
Well, there's a lot of activity going on in several different sectors of, we'll say, the economy and in business right now. We've got technologies that are actually taking water and structuring it to be more bio-enhanced, so the plant can actually absorb the water faster, and it's cutting irrigation requirements by 25% on water and still getting plant yields out of it. Just in the plant sector, we have situations where we have foliar sprays or plant-based fertilizers instead of chemical-based fertilizers, so that actually enhances the plant growth with natural fertilizers and does not put things into the environment that are causing algae blooms and all the problems in rivers that we're seeing. The other thing, and this is actually really big in Ventura right now on a sustainable technology concept, is that a lot of farming now is going under glass. And we're seeing hundreds of acres being put into a controlled environment so that it preserves the topsoil. They can control the environment completely, and the yields are going through the roof. There's a farm in, I think it's Kentucky, that has 160 acres under glass. It's growing tomatoes, and instead of one crop a year, they're getting 20 yields a year out of that same piece of land, so there's all sorts of different technologies that are coming out in different areas. That's just a little sliver of what's happening sort of in the agricultural base.
Okay, very good. Now, I do understand it does cover other industries. Can we just touch on what those other industries are?
Well, a lot of times when we talk about sustainability, we just think about power generation. And really, the sustainable energy is a very important thing, but also what about the products that use the energy? So when we look at other areas, there's a lot of systems in place in business that have just been that way because they've been that way. And now we're seeing industries and entrepreneurs and engineers and scientists taking a hard look at what's actually going on. There are additives you can put into refrigeration and air conditioning systems that clean out the oil accumulation, which is something that's always plagued air conditioning refrigeration systems, oil accumulation in the refrigerant, and it lowers the efficiency of those systems by sometimes 30, 40%. And it actually makes the systems run at peak design capacity. But in the process of that, it's saving probably 20, 25% in energy. At the same token, we're seeing in like the lighting industry, which is a huge part in large office buildings and whatnot, we've seen a switch from incandescent lights to fluorescent lights, which were a big step over the power that incandescent used. And we went to LEDs. Now we're seeing advanced LEDs come out that are 40% more efficient. The bulb life is 2.5 times what the current bulb lives are. And they generate half the amount of heat. So you don't have to pull the heat out with the air conditioning, which is another component that we see on that. I'm even seeing changes in like paints, which is in the industry are called coatings. And you don't think anything, you paint a building, but now there's paints being designed that actually have like 95, 97% reflective capability on them. So they'll reflect the heat off the building just by painting it. And the paint structure now can actually last 40 or 50 years. So you don't have to repaint the building every 5 years or 10 years, depending on the environment you're in. And all this adds up to a shift to a much more harmonious relationship with our environment, because we're not having to produce as much product, and especially a lot of times very toxic products, we're not creating so much waste as products get used up and have to be replaced. We're not using as much energy to actually run those products while we're running them. So it's a very interesting sort of quilt of several fibers that are coming together. And I think with the demand now that we're seeing in the industry and just the consciousness that people have, they want sustainability. It's opening up the door for a lot of new technology to come forward.
Good. Would I be correct in sort of summating sustainable technology by saying it's not just trying to come up with a better way or a friendlier way for the environment? It has a priority of becoming more efficient, since the technologies you're mentioning seem to be focusing on that.
Yeah, absolutely. More efficiency, which is, again, requires less resources to run something. And I know everything that we're seeing and many of the products that we're working with not only are more efficient and give the end user a better product, they do it at a lower economic cost, which is the ultimate component of sustainability, because so many times you have to put something in sustainable, but it raises the cost. And unless there's an economic incentive and an economic drive, that's really what drives a lot of this. You can save money and be green, basically, then we really see a lot of move in that direction because there's an economic incentive to be green versus a cost to it.
Good. Now, we're talking about industries here, including agriculture, which is traditionally done at a larger level, farmers, for instance. But is there a vision where these type of technology would be incorporated in basic everyman's life?
Well, 2 points.
The lights.
Yeah, well, the lights, but there's 2 points to it. One of the things I'll say is that in Ventura County, and it's interesting we're doing the show here, because Ojai, and a press release just came out yesterday on this, Ojai wants to be the model city for sustainability, and they're taking their whole downtown area to make it into like a sustainable park and highlight and preview all these technologies so the world can see it. So there's going to be a lot of focus in Ventura County on sustainability very shortly. They're working with an international nonprofit organization called Global Green that is actually bringing these technologies together for them. And that's a 30-year nonprofit that's been doing this. It's a great organization. So I'm glad to see that. The other thing, as you asked, is it going to help the common man? A lot of the areas we're working in are actually in the industrial and the commercial area. And in order for these products to come out, they have to reach some sort of economic viability. And so if they can reach an economic viability in the large applications, then we can start to move it down into the smaller applications. And just from, again, that economic drive, it's a lot easier to go out and work with, let's say, a company that has 2,400 tons of air conditioning and work with that customer to get them to change their systems and upgrade their systems, and to do one homeowner with 5 tons of air conditioning on their house. Once the industry takes off, then the technology becomes available for basically the residential market, we call it.
Very good. Okay, we're just about out of time here, Lance. I wonder if you might have a summating message for the viewers, and if there's a website that people could go to for more information.
Sure. Our website is TerraXtech.com. Summating message I would have is that I'm seeing a large concerted effort to actually move several industries into a more sustainable positions. And this, a lot of this has to do with food supply chain. And we're in California. I'm sure all of us are worried about the drought. There are solutions for the drought where we can use the water. We can, more efficiently. There are solutions for the drought where we can actually get increased yields through the proper use of fertilizers that aren't poisoning the rest of our water. I said there are real solutions coming out, and just watch those. It's very easy to watch the news and think that we're all doomed, but there's really a lot of hope on the horizon as we move forward with what's coming out right now. And quite honestly, I'm just going to repeat this. You in Ventura County are going to be right at the heart of that, because you're with the Ojai project, with some of the other projects that some of the farmers are doing. The world's going to be watching what you do in Ventura.
Wow, what a great place to end off here. Thank you very much, Lance.
My pleasure, George.
This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.